I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 448th episode of the Political Spotlight. I, of course, am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. Kate is back in black, back on the controls and doing things that she's supposed to do. I'll translate. She just waved really big for everybody, so that's what she did. She's still waving. Oh, now she's flipping me off. All right. Okay, so double-barreled, double fingers. Welcome. This is the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. We are very happy that you're here watching, whether you're watching live or via replay. We are thankful. This is being brought to you live on Monday, May 12th, 2025 at just a little before 9:10 p.m., 9:07 p.m. to be exact, from the Glenda Davis. From the upstairs basement studio in Lighthouse Studios. We welcome you, and we would ask you to please so kindly smash that like button if you would. Do that before we go in. And if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Sorry, that was my fault. I thought you were looking away. If you could smash that like button, we would appreciate it. Smash that. Tell us you love us. You can give us the thumb, give us the finger, whatever you want to do, but smash that like button before you leave. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. It doesn't cost you anything, and yeah, it doesn't really matter. Subscribe or don't. I don't care. As long as you're watching, that's what matters. If you want to communicate with us, if you're watching live, you communicate over here on the right-hand side. You can find that on YouTube. If you're watching via replay in the future, you comment down below in the comment section. You know how to do it, so I won't spend any more time on that. If you want to follow us on social media, if you want to follow us on Facebook or Twitter, if you want to contact us or message us, email us, do whatever, you can do that by following any of these things. There's our YouTube feed, the Rumble feed. Although, let me tell you, I haven't said this the last couple nights. Something is wrong with Rumble. I think I may have fixed it today. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try to find this out, because For the last couple of days, we've not been able to go live on Rumble. We've had something weird happening, and I deleted it today, and then I wasn't able to put it back on StreamYard, on the Duck. I wasn't able to get it back. So now I think I fixed it. Let me take a look here and see if I did. Oh, look, it is fixed. So, yay, look at that. We are live on Rumble. So let me wave. I'll do this and see how long it takes for me to get that. Oh, we have quite a delay on Rumble. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Up top it says we're live. Yeah, it says that, but when I did a test earlier, it had it up top, but it wouldn't do it. It wasn't doing it on Rumble. So I'm happy that it's fixed there. So if you like watching things on Rumble and you don't like YouTube, that's always an option. So you've got that. Okay. That's that. All right, we have some interesting things to talk about today, this evening, tonight, wherever you are in the world. This morning, this afternoon, this evening, we talked with the lieutenant governor today. Had an interesting conversation with him. There's some things going on with the lieutenant governor. There's some really interesting and bizarre things that are going on with the lieutenant governor and with Delaware County and the lieutenant governor. You should have seen it yesterday, Jack. You really messed out. So we've got that going on. We also have Alva. Maybe if you put the bike down and got here in a car, she might be more willing to do that. You ever get up this way, I would definitely like to have lunch with you. So please let us know. But don't don't make the wife mad and get here safely. However you do, a bike, car, planes, trains, or automobile, whichever way. Would definitely like to have lunch with Alva. So besides the Beckwith ordeal, we also have to talk about JD Prescott. I cannot even believe I'm going to say this. But if you are alive and awake tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., you can tune into 93.1 WIBC for some strange reason. And I don't know what time it is, but you will be able to hear JD Prescott on the Kendall and Casey show. I was blown away when I heard this today. And I don't know. Look, Brandon was in the comments. He heard it live. And, you know, his comments and his initial thought with how he heard this was that Rob wasn't necessarily too thrilled with having JD on. And so Brandon first commented and said, you know, you better stick it to him. You know, we don't go easy on him. And then a few minutes later, after they talked about it, Brandon then typed back and said, you know, I'm getting whiplash on this. You know, JD was the try guy. He was good for nothing, didn't get anything done. He would never do anything. He wasn't worth a damn. You know, he just kept saying, I'm trying, but never got anything done. And Rob disliked him as much as we did. And then it was, well, JD's a good buddy. You know, he's trying. We wish we had 100 more like him, which is just a insane statement to make. We do have 100 more just like him. It's called the Indiana General Assembly. They're all alike, save for like 1 or 2 or 3. And then it was, man, he's the hero. He's got a bill that's going to save us on property taxes and everything's wonderful. And then, of course, that bill never saw the light of day, which we told you it would never see the light of day. I think Rob even said shortly after it was first announced that that bill will never get heard in a committee. And it's like, why are you pushing this as being some, heroic feat if you know it's never going to be heard? Then it was, yay, he came to our rally and he told us he was with us and he's going to fight this and he's going to do the right thing. To then be told, oh, he's a liar. He's a liar. He didn't do what he said he was going to do. And he is a gutless coward and we will never, To then be like, well, so I don't really know. But the sense that I got from hearing the clip, I went back and listened to it. I'm not even going to worry about playing it. You can go listen to it if you want. It's on 93.1 WIBC on YouTube. You can go listen under the Kendall and Casey show for today, the 12th. And it's about 40 some minutes into the clip. But they only talk about it for a few moments. And what we hear is that Casey booked the showing. She booked JD. And I just don't look, I've listened to 93.1 WIBC for a long time. I just have never been a fan of Casey. I just have not been a fan of her. And so it is what it is. I'll be interested to see what is going to come from tomorrow. And it's interesting. We'll talk about that as we get into it. So we're going to talk about that. That's the second thing. And then the third topic, and what we'll probably talk about first, because I know we got some people that want to hear about this and everybody's caught up about this, is we will hear the follow-up to the bird emergency. The bird's the word. And the word today was, we were afraid they were homeless. We were afraid they were going to cook on the pavement in the sun. And it was pretty crazy. So we had a bird emergency. So we can make the audience happy, we'll start with the bird emergency and let you guys know what's going to happen here. So we're going about life today, and for about the last couple of weeks, we've been walking. Last week and a half, this is the second week into it, we've been walking about 2 miles in the morning. And today we noticed that there were 5 little birdies, little starlings is what they were, that had been somehow tossed out of their nest and thrown down to the harsh pavement below that made up the driveway. And what's happened is, in one of the very last storms that we had, matter of fact, I think we were on air. It was the storm where we lost some power and we went downstairs and we came back up and went back and forth and we tried deciding if we were going to do a show or not. We sustained a little bit of damage here to the house. It damaged the gutter system right in front of the garage. It damaged some siding, and then there's an overhang on the garage that it did some damage to. And on the list, we're going to have this replaced. They're going to come back out and they're going to, fix all of this. But because there's been quite a bit of storm damage in the area, we're on the list. So we're not, it's not fixed yet. And in the last couple of weeks, a bird has gotten up in one of the damaged places of the overhangs and made a nest. And I thought, okay, whatever, kind of pain in the ass, but whatever. Well, in the last couple of days, I noticed that there was a cracked egg on the ground. Not like the egg fell and the bird, it broke and killed it, but like the egg hatched and the wind or the nest not being big enough, it knocked the broken eggshell out. So I thought, okay, there's a baby or two in there, whatever. So today, early in the morning, woke up and I'll show you guys these pictures here. I put other ones on, but I want to make sure. Let me see. Let me show you what we got going on here. Okay. So let me pull this up here. Tell you what we're looking at. I was really distraught. Hold on a second. You know, I'm of the mind, I've told you guys before, I don't want to hurt anybody. Every person can live and, let live, whatever. Obviously, if someone's threatening me or my family or loved ones or threatening a stranger, I'll do what I need to do. But when it comes to an animal, man, like I don't know about. Look at my uncle giving me some trouble here. Don't make me ground you, boy. Anywho, it's my nephew. Sorry, I'm his uncle. I keep forgetting. It's he was adopted, and so he was. We just now finding him, and it's kind of strange. I'm his uncle. Sorry, I forgot. Anywho, between hurting an animal and a human, there's just no question. Don't make me choose, because you won't like my answer. I just look, here's the deal. I'm a gun advocate, Second Amendment advocate. I'm okay with people hunting. I'm not a hunter. I'll fish. I have no problem with fishing and whatever. I'm okay with people hunting for their food. I'm okay with people hunting for conservation. I'm not big on the idea of trophy hunting just to trophy hunt. But I am not someone that would shoot animals just to shoot them, if I can possibly help it. So seeing these little birds, man, I'm just not one that says, well, that's just the circle of life, let me step on them. No. David, you need to release the birds before Micah gets me charged with holding wild animals in a residential home. Hey, stick around. There's some news here in a minute when it gets serious that you're gonna like. Stick around here. So this morning we go out and we see these little birds on the pavement in the driveway, and this is the scene as it looked this morning. Okay, I'm telling you, it's tragic. It almost looked tragic. I was like, oh no, they're all dead. Now they weren't dead. I'll tell you. It looks like it's only got like one leg. I mean, it looks like an alien. This thing is scary, man. This is a scary looking thing. It looks like it's upside down, flipped over, and it's got one leg. But I will tell you, it was not upside down. It was right side up, And it does have that one weird ass looking leg there. Its other leg was up underneath it, and its wings were there. These creatures are wild. Okay. So that's one of them. The other one, here's the other one. It's kind of hard to see. Okay. Here's where the damage was. All right, where the nest is. You can see the nest. All right, you can see where the damage was, and you can see the nest. All right. So my initial thoughts on this were, I don't know what to do. So I went live because I knew that Facebook would know. So I didn't go live here. I went live on Facebook, and I knew that people would know what to do with these birds. I could have probably Googled it, but I was just in the time, and so I went live. And sure enough, Admiral Eric come to the rescue, and he sends me the phone number to the Hoosier Wildlife and Bird Rescue thing or whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. I call these people. They tell me to text the situation to these other people. And so I called this rescue number, and they're telling me what's going on. And I'm taking pictures and sending it to them. And they tell me something that I didn't know. I always thought if you touch these things, their mothers will not come back to them. They'll starve to death. The mom won't, that thing. And they're like, no, that's not true. That's not true for a bird. I don't know what animal that is true for. Maybe it's not true for any animal. I don't know. But they were like, whatever. We didn't end up touching them. We basically just rolled them around. And we put them inside of we still walked. We still got to walk in. But we put them inside of a little dish with a towel in it, so they could get warm and stay warm and whatever. And then I was concerned about them being low for cats or whatever, so we were trying to figure out where to put them or whatever. And the mama bird or the daddy bird, whichever, because they said in starlings, both moms and dads will take care of the birds. So they said, the person I was talking to said, well, can you put them back in the nest? And I'm like, well, that's the problem. I mean, the problem I'm having is that the nest is in a perilous place. That my fear is that they fell out because, there's too many of them. There's 5 of them. And this is in a real small area, and that's kind of bouncy there. And, any wind at all, and it could be perilous. Now, at the same time, I also Googled that starlings, from the time they hatch until the time they fly out of the nest, is only about 2 to 3 weeks. That's pretty quick turnaround time from hatching to flying. 3 weeks. And these birds were not tiny. I mean, they look weird and alien-like, but they're also bigger than what you would assume. So I would say they're at least a week old. So they did kind of look like General Chicken. I did notice that, Cindy. So that makes sense that they came from Asia. That makes sense. Someone called Dr. Catherine. I think I can only make those jokes when she's here. I think it sounds really bad. I think it sounds bad when she's not here. So my bad. Anyway, she would have liked it. So all you shut up. Anywho, so here's the thing. I wanted to make sure that these birds go back to the mom. I don't want to screw with these birds. I don't want to feed them. I don't want to care for them. I just don't want them to die. Okay. I don't want them to die. I will forever be mad at my grandmother because she made me kill that possum that I did not need. I did not need to kill, but she made me kill it. Yeah, it's, evil, pure evil, making me shoot that possum. I will never get over that. Anyway, I don't want to take care of these birds. I just don't want them to die. Okay? So no, they didn't tear it up. They didn't tear it up. The wind did this damage. And it's going to be replaced here soon, but in this meantime, they made a nest up there. Okay? So the wildlife people said, well, if you can get them back in the nest, and I asked them, I said, well, what if we rehome the nest? And they're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Right, Stumblefoot. So they're like, yeah, that's fine. So what we did was we came up with the next best plan. And that was to I don't know. We'll have to wait until they start voting next week repeatedly to tell if they're Republican or Democrat. I'm not really sure just yet. I don't know. That's a good question though. So back in 2019, there was a salesman at Gaddis Chrysler that went through a divorce, and he had this old, at the time it was an old wooden wine rack, and he's like, I'm just getting rid of it. And I was like, I'll take that home. I'll do something with that. Thinking there's something that I can do with this thing, you know, knowing that I'm going to get it home and never do anything with it. So this wine rack has been rotting outside by the trash, basically, just waiting to be chopped up and put up. So we were like, perfect thing. Thank God we've got that wine rack. We'll put them in the wine rack. Okay. And yeah, I saw that, Kate. That's true. So we put them in this wine rack and kind of put it up by where they used to be. And so this is what we've got going here. Okay. Put the trash can on one side. Now, since this picture, we've also put this is so insane. We've also put sheeting over this thing and tied it off. So, and put trash bags so they can't get like wet if it rains, when it rains. I mean, these things are animals that live out in the wood. What the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? This is getting like really crazy at this point. But so we actually took their old nest down and put it all around them inside this thing. They're right in here, okay? And so I'm going to show you here what we're working with here, okay? Here the little guys are. Oh. Now, they do kind of look cute, but to me, I'm like, look at all this bird shit. Like, can I get the bird flu from these things? Like, look at all this. Can I get hennavirus from these things? Like, I don't understand what's happening here. Like, I'm really worried. Yeah, that's the other thing is I'm positive the cats can still get in here. So we've developed this thing that basically what we've got to do is yeah, right. What we've got to do is now we have to stay outside in the car on shifts in 12-hour shifts and watch to make sure that a cat doesn't get up in here into this General Chicken buffet. So here's another picture. Great, wonderful. Here's another picture. Now, here's the thing. When we first put them in the tub, the mama bird or the daddy bird, we didn't check, we don't know which one, was bouncing around and coming around and being around them. But then once we put them inside this thing, we're not sure. I looked in on them at once. My mother looked in on them at one time, and my mother said, it looks like the mama bird has been back, because obviously you can see some like little baby bird shit in there. And I tried my best to crop that out because it's gross. But you can also see we're gonna just gonna be like Ace Ventura when he jingles the keys and I come in and all the animals just run out. You know, we don't need any more cats here. No cat food. We've got enough cat food right here in the wine rack. Besides the little bitty baby bird shit, there was also some bigger bird shit. So we thought the mama was there, but then we got scared that the mama wasn't coming back. So we looked and Googled on what to do, and they said, make some hard-boiled eggs, chop the hard-boiled eggs up, make some rice, mix it together, chop it up, and feed them. So we've been doing that about every 2 hours since. This is really insane what's happened here. But here they are. They're sleeping now. They literally just ate. They just ate at this point. So they're sleeping. And here they are, so you guys can hear them. Now, the only question I need to ask you guys for your opinion, do you think that we need to put some of that nesting in that Tupperware container with them to keep them warm? Brandon. You need to send that to Kate. You just sent that to me by mistake. You need to send that to Kate too. Do you think that I need to put some of that straw in around them? We hear them and the cats do too. Dryer lint. Oh yeah, that'd be good. Spark a lighter. Okay, Tweety Bird saying yes. Carrie saying yes. Paula saying yes. Yeah, Jackie, that's right. So there they are. There the baby birds are. I'm going to go out there tomorrow morning. They're all going to be gone. There's going to be little baby bird heads around. I'll tell you a quick one last little bird story before we go on to the politics of the day. My grandma and grandpa, for some unknown reason, you know, just how you do when you're new parents and have little babies. My grandparents had 3 little kids at home, my uncle, my aunt, my dad. My dad was the youngest, my aunt, and then my uncle. And they had, it was around Easter time. It was Easter. And they had went someplace and got these little chicks like they'll give you around Easter time, or they used to. I never got any little chickens when I was little. But anyway, my grandparents got my dad and my aunt and uncle these little chickens or little chicks for Easter. And they, for whatever reason, they let them have them like in their bedroom, and they put them in the bed with them. And they were excited they had these things, and my dad was jumping up and down and squished one of them. But they didn't know that he'd squished it. They thought that the bird had thrown up because he had squished his guts out of him, basically. And so the kids all run in. They're like, quick, come in here. One of the little birds threw up. One of the little chicks threw up. And he didn't throw up. It was just my dad, aunt, and uncle had squashed one of these birds. And so, yeah, it is what it is. I'll go out there tomorrow morning, and there'll be like a couple chicken heads as normal around my house, how there's normally chicken heads around my house. Yeah, right, Brandon. Or any chicken heads crawling around your house, Brandon. There'll be some of these bird heads just around, and the bodies will have been gone. So, yeah, that's what's going on with the birds. So, there, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even put up the banner. There, ladies and gentlemen, is the bird emergency update. I don't know or don't think that Admiral Eric. You guys' names all crazy to me. Eric Lewis, I don't think he's watching, but thank you, Eric, for the. I got some chickens that came in different colors back in the city. Did you squish them? So thank you, Admiral Eric, for the rescue number. And, maybe they'll make it through this. Maybe they won't. I kind of got the idea that maybe I ought to just go ahead and take them out of their misery and put them under the car tire and just be done with it. And just so I can get on down the road, because I think that this is going to be something that inundates my life that I just don't really need right now. So I don't know. Put a 1 in the comments if I just need to put them under the tire, or put a 2 if I need to keep them alive. Let me know. That's a joke, YouTube. Don't strike me. We're not going to kill any birds. Okay. So, I knew Stumblefoot was going to say yes. I'm starting to hurt birds, opossums. Yeah, right. Now, if I start wetting the bed and playing with fire, look out. Here we go. Brandon, is that 3 to compare it to what you said, and send and see if you can compare which is which? Is that what the number 3 is? Send you a picture of the bird and then what you said it was, and see if you can tell me which is which. Oh, my grandma said, I think number 2 is my grandma wants me to kill him. So of course she does, because she also wanted me to kill the possum. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to go in reverse order. Might as well go in reverse order the whole night instead of, yeah, right, Brandon. That's hilarious. No mechanical means of destruction. Just let nature take its course. Well, yeah, right, Jackie. Listen, what I hope that happens with nature taking its course is that the mom comes back and does its thing, and that they fly off and all live a happy life, however long Sterling's live. Let's find out how long Sterling's live. Life expectancy. Okay. Oh my God, they only live 2 to 3 years? The typical lifespan of a European starling is I'm calling them starlings or starlings. In the wild is 2 to 3 years, but some starlings have been known to live as much longer, with the oldest recorded wild starling living for 22 years. In captivity, these starlings can live up to 20 years or even longer. I don't know that I can deal with the fact that these things are only going to live for 3. I might have to keep them. Now. I don't know that I can live with the fact that these things are going to die in 3 years. That's crazy. Yeah, that's the circle of life, you know. They'll live for 2 or 3 years, they'll die, and then they'll become food for whatever possum eats them as they're walking into my grandparents' garage. Yeah, yes, yep. I could tell. Yes, you're right. I could tell that the mom or the dad, when the mom and the dad was walking over to them, they absolutely. It's not really like a walk. It's kind of like a waddle, but yeah, they do waddle and not hop. You are right. They probably need bedding of some kind to soak up the waste and keep them dry. We use bedding with baby chicks and ducks. What kind of bedding? Yep, Jackie. Absolutely. Just like Mr. This is, wow. She said, this is just like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I've never been so proud in all my life. Okay. Well, it's time to talk about JD Prescott for a little bit. And I'm sorry. It's not my favorite thing to do. I don't like doing it. It really hurts my feelings, hurts my heart, makes me sick. Ooh, we'll do that. I'll put a bowl in there too, Space Cat. That's a pretty good idea. They told us to mix water in with the food that we gave them, and they said that would be good. You know, that would be good enough. But that's probably a pretty good idea. We'll try that out. Okay. So this morning, again, as I said, I might as well pull it up and play it. There's no reason not to. So this morning on the Kendall and Casey radio show, 93.1 WIBC, Rob Kendall, they just came back from break, and Casey made this like announcement. Yeah. We much rather talk about the birds, right? Casey made this announcement that well, we'll just let you hear it. Let you guys soak it in the same way that we had to.
Well, no, we want to tell people JD Prescott is gonna
one of the JDs. There's so many JDs.
I would run on the tagline and I would put it everywhere. I want less of your stuff. I mean, I would put on my yard signs, my door hangers, everything in these primaries, because if someone sees the phrase, I want less of your stuff, then it instantly sparks the conversation about how much of your stuff the guy who's in there, the girl who's in there has taken. And so any person who's running for a credit.
So you could do it like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
That's right. Yes.
Here we go.
That's correct, Casey. Speaking of people who are in office, we've got a guest coming in tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the program.
Are you going to say who it is?
No, you booked it.
Big surprise.
Well, no. We want to tell people. JD Prescott is going to
one of the JDs. There's so many JDs these days.
JD Prescott's going to be with us tomorrow on tomorrow's program, and we give him credit. He's been very insistent. He's willing to come in and defend all of his votes, and he knows we're not very happy.
Now listen. I'm just going to be real straight. And maybe this will hurt Rob's feelings. I don't think he has feelings. I don't think he cares. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. But this is like Rob's last shot in my mind. JD doesn't get credit because he's coming in to campaign. Okay? He doesn't get credit for that. So the fact that Rob says he gets credit because he's coming in to lie about lying. It's really crazy. Because if you remember, it wasn't but just 3 weeks ago that Rob was saying JD is a liar. He is gutless. JD's trying to like text him and call him, and they're doing that whole back and forth. And yeah, right. Stumblefoot, credit for lying and deceiving Hoosiers over and over and over again. Now, here's what Rob Kendall may not know, and I don't think that JD knows this. 93.1 WIBC on terrestrial radio doesn't come in a good chunk of District 33. That's what's so funny about this. The point in time when JD started kissing ass with WIBC and Rob Kendall, and he started coming in, Brandon and I were talking about this, and it made me feel very uncomfortable. I was like, man, he's starting to get all this light, and it's starting to build it up. I was worried that JD was looking to try to expand and go higher up the ladder, and that's what he was doing. And I got thinking, wait a minute. This is not going to help him in his district, because the majority of the people in his district cannot hear the terrestrial radio of 93.1 WIBC. It does not come in very well in most of Randolph County, in Jay County, in Blackford County. 93.1 doesn't get picked up. So the fact that JD Prescott's going on here and lying to the people that make up the donut counties around Marion County, and Muncie and Anderson and Newcastle and Rushville and Hamilton County, and everywhere that way, it's like, okay, whatever. They don't even know who JD Prescott is. They don't care. They're like, whatever. So it doesn't really give JD any points. So this is like, honestly, not something that's like, let's say JD goes in tomorrow and he knocks it dead. He just absolutely trounces all over Kendall and Casey, although Casey won't say anything. Casey is the biggest establishment hack, and Rob might be, but Casey is very much the very absolute, the brawn apologist, and she's right there for it all. You can tell exactly what she is. There is a derogatory word that's not a curse word that any of you would know, but there's just a derogatory word for women in radio. And I was like, man, I wonder if she fits this. And it's like an idea that the people in radio have always said that the female radio host plays this part. And basically the part is the woman that like nags and like pulls the guy back in and does all of this. And I was like, she didn't really fit that part to me for a long time. And then this year, the first time I realized that's what she's here for. She's here to pull him back. And it doesn't help the fact that her husband is Beckwith's communications director, So, Stumblefoot. He is. Thank you for that, Krista. I will pick some of those up. Hopefully we don't have them that long, but I want to keep them happy while we do have them. But this idea of Kendall giving him the time of day. Now, listen, I would say I don't have a problem calling and asking JD to come on here, and I would let JD come on the program. But you can be sure that when he comes here, we're not going to roll out the red carpet for him. Now, listen, as crazy as I talk about him and as much as I dislike him, I'm not going to be just an absolute rude asshole. I've never been that way to anybody. I'll be polite to him, but I'm going to question him hard, and I'm going to hold his feet to the fire, and I'm not going to just roll out the red carpet and be like, here's JD, you know, we need 100 more guys like you, and you're fantastic, and we love you, and thank you for storming the beaches of Normandy, JD. You are deserving of all of the medals that you wear, all of your ribbons. Thank you. You are a stand-up hero. I'm not going to give him that. I'm going to make him be honest. And that is why he doesn't come on. That's why he doesn't consider us. He looks down. It's the same thing I was talking about Matt Kantz the other day. JD's one of them to the highest order. He's even worse than Matt Kantz with this. JD looks down his nose at everybody. JD is bigger and better than everybody because his mommy told him so. Because his mommy bought him a green Camaro. Now, he didn't like it, and he threw a fit because he wanted a red one. But that's how JD is. Now, yeah, absolutely. That's very true. That is very true. All the pictures of I hate all the pictures of JD. They're all bad. So he's going to go on here. I would tell everybody that is available to tune in. You can listen to this on Kendall and Casey on YouTube. On the YouTubes, you can turn in and you can tune in live. Matter of fact, I would even tell you, I mean, this is important. I think that if any of you are here that has the ability to tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and listen until he's there, I would say that their show is from 9 to noon. So they go on at 9:06 and they will be on until basically 10:45 or 11:45. And then Tony Katz comes back on. But I would say that the JD segment will be sometime in the first 2 hours. So sometime between 9 and 10 and 10 and 11, I would say. So any of you that are available that can do this, I would highly recommend, because you can go on and they have a live chat just like we do. And you can go in and you can chat. And I tweeted and text to Rob tonight and said, please, Rob, do me a favor. Ask JD why he voted no on giving veterans property tax break in 2019. He has dodged this single question for all these years. It's 2025. 2025. He's dodged this since 2019, even up to and including it causing him to be in a lawsuit. The most wild thing about this is the fact that what Brandon's saying here, how does JD think that he's going to be able to convince Rob that this property tax deal of SB1 is brilliant when Rob's friend, Micah Beckwith, couldn't do it? Rob's still holding Micah to the feet to the fire because of it. The governor couldn't do it. Governor Braun couldn't do it. Rob and Braun and Braun's people went in and had a secret meeting like the day before Kendall unleashed on all of them. And it couldn't be done. Yeah, those two aren't geniuses, but JD isn't 1/10 as smart as them. Absolutely. That's exactly correct. So this is going to be weird. And this is what I'm saying. This is the night before the shootout at the OK Corral. I'm telling you, we are on a precipice here. I think that Rob is going to hold him accountable. I believe that he will. But if he doesn't, I'm going to come unglued. Now, I'm interested in what you all have to think. Brandon has put this up here, and this is I'm in agreement with Brandon. Brandon's prediction, and I will second this, that JD is going to go in saying, well, I had to vote on Senate Bill 1 so I can get what I want next time. Well, listen, JD is out of next times. There is no more next time. There is no more next time. And if Rob falls for that, surely he can't. Because he's still giving it to Micah. So if he's still giving it to Micah, then there's no way he's going to be able to just be like, okay, JD. But I'm telling you, if Rob goes in there and soft hands this and Millie mouths around with this and backpedals and lets JD walk all over him or do whatever because Casey wants it, I'm going to come unglued. I don't know though, Stumblefoot, because why would he hold Micah to the fire and still be up Micah's ass about it? But not do that with JD. To me, it seems much more the other way around. He'd be hard on JD, but he would give Micah the pass. But he's not. He's still holding Micah accountable. And Kendall has said on multiple occasions. He said on multiple occasions that his and Micah's relationship has actually changed. So I have to think that if he's still holding Micah accountable, he's got to hold JD accountable. And Stumblefoot, that's a very real possibility that this is just, all a radio drama. And it's propaganda. That's very real possibility. That is a very, very real possibility. Now, like what Brandon's saying is this will trash Rob's credibility, period. If he lets JD come in and go out without getting a beat down, Rob's credibility is done. Well, and as Chris says, he had to vote yes on this to try to close a school in his own district to broker that deal, and it's not like he had to do it to do. They put that in there so he would vote yes. It's got nothing to do with what JD wants to do later on down the road. They put that bill in there, that amendment in there, knowing JD wanted that because he's got a pet project for that. That's just a weird thing they threw in. See, they know what each one of their people want and how they're making themselves rich and how they're making their families rich. You know, JD doesn't sit on any kind of boards back in Randolph County. He don't care. JD's not a political mind or thinker like that. And JD's not worried about getting rich because his parents are rich. His mommy and daddy are rich. And he's going to get all his mommy and daddy's money. I mean, his mommy and daddy are loaded, and it's all because of the weird, sneaky, very questionable things that his father did when his father was a commissioner. All right, keep that in mind. I have to look out for my constituents. And what he means by that, you're right. He has to look out for them as he's dodging them. So he doesn't have to answer any questions. Or he has to look out for them as he's running them over because he doesn't give a shit about them. That's what he means. If JD had a good response for voting yes, why not make it a public post or a statement? Weeks ago when he voted. He's been working on a BS reason for weeks. That's the other side of this. That's the other side of this. So number one, JD's an idiot. Okay? JD's not going to come in here with anything of value that he himself has come up with. Because JD has no value. There's no value to JD. If JD comes in with anything that even remotely kind of makes sense in some way, it's going to have been handed to him by the powers that be, by Todd Houston, by the HRCC, by his handlers. And I'm telling you, we need people in the chat to immediately call this stuff out. I'm going to be there. We need to be there because this is going to be an epic moment. And I've always tried to maintain some sort of semblance of at least a relationship with the people of WIBC. But I'm telling you, if Rob doesn't do this right, there will be no point to do that. You know, I wouldn't want to be a part of anything about that. Now, what Brandon said is true. Rob may be planning to rip JD, but he can't come off too hot now because if he does, you know, why would JD come on? That's the reason JD doesn't come on here, because JD knows JD's been on my program once before. You're all aware of that, right? I've had JD on the program once before when JD was running. JD knows I would be fair, but I'm not going to let him pass. He's going to have a rough ride. So that's the reason JD doesn't come on. So maybe he's thinking, you know, Casey's the one that called him, so it's going to be easy. You know, maybe he didn't listen. He's not listened to the last couple of weeks when Rob has just went crazy with Micah. I don't know. I don't know. Look out for them to avoid and kiss the asses of the beautiful people. And that will help line his own pockets. That's a very good possibility. How does closing the school help the constituents? Yeah, of course it doesn't. You know, he's a complete idiot. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Stumblefoot. See, that's the reason. Do you think we can get Rob to block comment? No. And I'm telling you, that's one thing Rob won't do. Rob will not do that. Listen, and for the people that are saying that, like, Rob might be in a position now where he is establishment or whatever. I don't know what his deal is. There was a time, And there has been a time, like, I have respected Rob in the past. Rob has done the right thing. What happened all of a sudden when this Mike Braun and Beckwith thing happened, that changed, and Rob has changed me. And I was telling Kate and Brandon this earlier. It's Brandon's like, man, I'm just, I'm hoping, and I'm like, look, I'm hoping too, but and I'm not. Please understand. I'm not trying to talk down about this, or I'm not making light about it. But it's like kind of the a domestic violence situation and a battered woman situation. Like, Rob and I are in this relationship where there's trust, and with Rob's actions here recently in the past, Rob has beat me really bad. And he's promised he will never do it again, and I've stayed. And even though he hasn't beat me since, his attitude and things have happened that have scared me. And no matter how good it can get, you can't take away that negative. And I don't know. I was listening to a show or a podcast or something the other day, and I heard something that clicked in my mind. And I've always, I went to Ball State for psychology, and I've always liked psychology and things like this. And this is such a simple concept. And I was just talking to somebody about this earlier, but I don't know why I've never even thought of it like this. But the person was saying when they were talking about like trauma and stuff, how, when something bad happens, no matter how good it goes, that doesn't take away the trauma. Good things don't take away the trauma. It'd be like if somebody, you're really hot on a hot day, and somebody, offers you a cold glass of water. Here's this glass of water. But before you take a drink of it, they pee in the water. So now you've got water and piss in the glass. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't want this. This water's filled with water and piss. Well, the guy's like, well, here, let me make it better. I'm going to make it better. And so they start dumping sugar into the water. And they're dumping sugar, and they're dumping cup after cup after cup of sugar. Now you've got water, sugar, and piss. And no matter how much sugar you dump in to the glass, you're still going to have the urine in the glass. And yeah, I mean, I guess in time you get to a point where you would overflow it so much to where it would just be sugar. But the point is, just because you add something good doesn't take away the negative. And so in this case, and in a lot of those domestic violence situations, in this case, no matter how good Rob is, and no matter how much the things I like about Rob does, the trust is now broken. There's a part of me that is always going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. And now I'm waiting for Rob to one day come in and talk about how great JD is and how wonderful Micah is and what a great deal Senate Bill. Now, I know he's not going to come in and talk about Senate Bill 1, but it's kind of like JD, right? So JD was against Senate Bill 1, and he was telling them this until they bought him off with putting that amendment in that closed the school. Then that was his ticket. No matter how bad this is, I can put up with the bad as long as I get this. Well, does Rob have that line too? What point of that is Rob's? And like, I know the conversation's been going on in the chat about Rob's situation with the sales tax. That's what he's going to, that's what it's going to be about. He's, my sales tax on service, and no more property tax. He's campaigning, which is exactly right. Which again, he might be campaigning for the people down there. It's not going to help him in District 3. That's one thing that I care, that I'm like, okay, cool. It's at least it's not going to be a thing that helps him drastically in District 3. But that wasn't Brandon. That was Kate that said that. Sorry. And that's very true. Dropping all property tax in favor of sales tax will only shift the tax, which is true, but it will mean rural areas have zero representation because they plan to eliminate local school boards and townships too. It's true. I saw Jim Lucas posting about it. That's the plan with the shift to sales tax. Micah talked JD into going on the show to take some heat off him for a minute, which is a very good possibility. It could be. The problem with sales tax thing is they will have to tax even more to cover the economic downturn. So it will be a net increase in taxes, which I very much believe. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Cardinal ethanol, man. That's the whole ticket right there. No question. No question. That is where Troy Prescott, which for those of you that don't know Troy Prescott is JD's daddy. And it's almost like he's not even his daddy. It's almost like it's his sugar daddy. Troy Prescott is JD's sugar daddy because that's where the money comes from. Because you notice JD's not like Elizabeth Roway. He's not going out here and getting a job and getting contracts. And, I've got a contract with, this government that I work in my district, and I've got a $400,000 contract, and I work at this job, and I've got I make this salary. And, JD's not stacking money that way. He don't need to. He has his own shit. He knows. It's like money in the bank, man. Does JD have brothers? JD's got one brother, right? Yeah. How was that brother? I sleep with one eye open. Meaning JD just might come shit in his yard or something. No, I don't think he would hurt him. Wink, wink. Anyways. So, number one, that's what's going on tomorrow morning, starting at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., excuse me. So, it's weird. It's like 12 hours from when the show started tonight and 12 hours from our response. We, of course, will have a response to whatever goes on tomorrow. And it might be a show where we are praising Kendall, and I hope it is. I truly hope it is. Or it might be a show where I'm absolutely going off. And so we just don't know. It's going to be an interesting morning. I cannot wait to hear. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. So I would say it'll be on sometime between 9 and 10 or 10 and 11. There's that. So you can listen live and comment in on YouTube. Just go to 93.1 WIBC or type in Kendall and Casey Show and go right there. I'll share the link on my social medias. I'll also share the link in the YouTube. I'll share it everywhere. So if you want to see it and you don't know or you can't find it, just go look on one of my social medias or look in the community section of the YouTube page too, because I'll share it there. So absolutely. Sometimes nothing's a pretty cool hand. You hear? Yeah. You heard it here. See here what is being said here. Yeah. So Rob Kendall posted on as I was saying earlier, Rob Kendall posted on well, basically everywhere. He posted on Facebook under his Rob Kendall post. He posted under Kendall and Casey. And then he also posted on Twitter. And the comments are really good. Pretty much everywhere. But so Kendall says State Representative JD Prescott will be with Kendall and Casey tomorrow to discuss why he voted for Senate Bill 1 and why it's good for the taxpayers. We respect Prescott having the stones to man up and publicly own his vote, unlike his cowardly colleagues. Listen, his colleagues are cowardly. But JD does not get respect for coming in and lying about why he lied. All right. So Ethan Hatcher says malice at the WIBC Palace. Kendall versus Prescott. Let's go. An idiot was like, why is it malice at the palace? Why can't it be a good talk? And it's like, well, because JD's there, man. Don Bates, a guy that I like. Don Bates says JD's a good man. When he's asleep. Debbie Holcomb says that'll be an interesting conversation. I said, but it won't be because JD is a liar that has a horrible history as an elected official in District 33. Debbie says, Kristopher, I'm interested to hear how he handles Rob channeling our anger. Well, we hope that Rob channels our anger, don't we? We do hope that. I said, Rob Kendall, can you please also ask him why he voted against property tax breaks for Hoosier veterans in 2019? Prescott has dodged this question since he voted against it. It made no sense to vote against that. He has ran from the political spotlight at every turn. JD might be a good man, and he might deserve credit for coming in and lying tomorrow about why he lied last time. But bottom line, he does not care about the people of District 33. Even coming on 93.1 can't really help him because it's not even going to be heard by the majority of his district. So this is all about attempting to further some political aspirations or something. He's never done anything worth a damn for the people of his district. He believes he is better than 95% of his constituents. And no matter what he says tomorrow, he needs to not be elected in 2026. Okay? Now, this is where I want to pause once again. And I want to reiterate something to those people that are listening to this. Because I continue. Ding, 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 ding. Paleo GOP, man. Once again, coming in, brother. I've been checking out some of your stuff. Now that I figured out who you are, I've been checking out some of your tweets and things. And again, I definitely agree with it. I'd respect it if he just said he doesn't want to earn an HRCC-funded primary. That would be amazing. You want to see something absolutely gross. Go back and look at what year was Clower Prescott primary? 22, 21. 22. Go back and look at how much his Republican opponent. Listen, JD has only ever had one true Republican opponent. Truly, I'm not gonna bullshit. JD's I'll say this. JD has had two. No, I'm not. I can't. I gotta say this. JD has had three opponents. The very first year JD ran in 2018, it was a anybody's game. JD could have won. Sean Byram could have won. Sean Byram was the Democrat. I did not want Sean Byram to win. That would have been a disaster. Although he would have been the Democrat. The reason it would have been a disaster is he wouldn't have hung around just in the state representatives. He would have used that seat to catapult himself higher, and that is something that we had to defeat. So I was actually on the side of JD back then because he needed to beat he needed to beat Sean Byram. But then quickly after that, I told him, like, yo, I told him while we were running, I will one day campaign against you. I didn't know how soon it would be, but it is what it is. Now, I will tell you this. After that, he also in that race was Dale Arnett. And if Dale Arnett would have ran as a Republican, he would have trounced JD. And I almost wish that would have happened, but whatever. It is what it is. But the real opponent JD has ever had, JD's only had one real opponent, and she damn near came close to cleaning his clock. And I think if the situation would have been different, and life would have went another path, and she would have stayed in the district, she would have beat him the next time. And that was Brittany Clower. Brittany Clower almost beat JD, and she did it with like 1/10 the amount of money that he had. All of the money that she had was self-funded and grassroots raised, from, dollars here and dollars there. But go back and look at the amount of money that his Republican primary opponent in 2022 raised, Brittany Clower, and then go and look at the money that JD raised. Specifically, go look at the amount that the HRCC gave him. Specifically, look at the amount of money that the HRCC gave him in the last month. And then one more, specifically go look at the amount of money that the HRCC gave him, like by his own admission, by when he put on the amounts given, how much they gave him in like the last 2 weeks. And it was gross what they did. The last 2 weeks of that election, all he did was just outright bold-faced lie. Like, it was not even campaigning. It was not even, it was gross what he did. And Brittany moved, her and her husband moved from the district. But if they would have stayed in the district, I very, very much believe she would have beat him on the next run, because she ran against him in 2020 during COVID, and it was a weird election, and she was a first-time opponent, and so nothing really happened. But she did really well in that for nothing really happening. Then her second run, which is really like her first run because it was an actual election, it was the first time she was able to campaign, she really came damn close to beating him. And I feel like in what would have been her second actual election, I think she would have beat him. Now, I will tell you this. Listen, if anybody cares about this stuff, and for those people that are really into politics, go back and listen to the debates. You can still find them on Perception is Reality. Type in Perception is Reality with Kristopher H. Bilbrey, and go type in Brittany Clower, JD Prescott, Perception is Reality debate, and you can find it and pull it up and listen to it. Brittany Clower beat his ass in the debate. No questions asked. Matter of fact, she beat him so badly that I don't think that JD will ever do a debate again. I would be shocked. He'll do candidate meet and greets or whatever, and he barely does those. But he will not, I don't think he'll ever do another debate again, period. That said, I have to say this before we move on to Beckwith. Please, 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 people of District 33, I see a lot of people all of a sudden locking on to, what's his name? Bartlett. What's his first name? Oh, Kate just put the link there. What's the guy's first name? John Bartlett? John Bartlett. Okay. John Bartlett comes on here. I have no problem with the guy. I like him. I mean, he's a different party of me, And we've got way different beliefs on a lot of things, and I have no problem with him running as a Democrat. But there are a lot of people saying, we can't elect Prescott. We're going to vote Bartlett. And listen to me. Listen to me. That's perfectly fine if you choose to do that in November. If you choose to go into the polling booth in November of 2026 and you vote for the Democrat over Prescott, I've got no problem with that in this race. That's the way you choose to do it. But don't get caught in that trap too early. And the thing is, Bartlett has said in the past, I'm JD Prescott's opponent. And he said that prior to the primary. And that's very confusing because in the month of January and in the month of February and in the month of March and April and on the day of the May 5th, Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 primary, John Bartlett is not JD's opponent. In the primary, John is running in the Democratic primary, and if there's any other Democratic candidate, that's John's opponent. And if there's not, John runs on into the November election with no issue. In May, JD's opponent is whoever runs as a Republican. And so what we need people to do, no matter what you want to do in November, people need to go in and pull a Republican ballot in May and vote for the person running against Prescott. Now, hopefully someone's going to run against him. Hopefully someone good. I've heard some things here or there. I don't really know, and I can't speak on that. I'm hoping. I mean, listen, none of this matters if the same people always run and we don't have a candidates. If we don't have good candidates, and I don't mean, listen, this sounds kind of counterproductive. Anybody can run, and I will always say that I'll back anybody's idea of running. But if you want to run, you need to go in and talk to the party, see where they stand. You might not like it, and I might not agree with them, and I might agree with you, but you at least need to go in and talk to them. Maybe you need to start out running for precinct committee person. Maybe you need to start out running for city council or for county council. Someone saying, I'm going to run for the first time for state representative, you can do it. And I'll say congratulations. But it's one of these things where I say we need to, fight smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anybody's below that. I'm just saying realistically, when the HRCC is going to give JD Prescott $100,000, you need to be aware of that. If you're someone out there that's going to run against Prescott, go into it knowing he's probably, I haven't looked up in a while, he's probably got $20,000 or $30,000 in his war chest right now. And the HRCC is probably going to give him $100,000. So it's not right. It's not fair. Sucks. It is what it is. It's politics. Nothing's fair. But you got to go into this knowing that you're going to be fighting a battle where they're going to be stacking money against him. So we need candidates that are going to be able to pull money, that are going to be able to candidate. And look, there's a lot of people that decide to run for something that they're a candidate on paper only, meaning they don't go out and they don't walk the district. They don't go out and they don't walk door to door. They don't go to the when candidates file to run, they're busy every weekend. They're busy every weekend. Yeah, right. Like his last opponent, Greg LeMaster. Probably a good guy, but he didn't do shit. He did not do shit. You know, he went and fought with I don't know, Schmiegel, Gollum, whatever that person is. I don't know what's right or what's wrong or people, whatever. Anyways, that troll up there, okay, she's nasty. Just as a horrible little person. She's not a little person, meaning she's not a good person. But he didn't do anything. You're not going to pull it out in a clutch being a paper-only candidate. Brittany Clower was on the move daily. Every day after work, she was out doing something. Every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday, they were always doing something. As soon as March starts, February, you got to start walking. If you don't burn through a pair of shoes in a primary, specifically for a district race like that, you're not a real candidate. So we need people, a good person that would run for this would be somebody that's spent a couple of terms as a city councilor, maybe somebody that's been a mayor, maybe somebody that's been a sheriff, maybe somebody that's been a county commissioner, someone that's ran before, that knows what it takes, and someone that can say, look, I'm going to go in there to do everything opposite of what JD's doing. But the thing that we got to get people out here to know is be Democrat, be Republican, be whatever you want. Vote for John Bartlett in November, all you want. But we have to defeat Prescott in May. If we don't defeat Prescott in May, he's going to be reelected. I'm just telling you how it is. If we don't defeat him in May, he'll be reelected. And that might be harsh, and you might not like to hear it, but that's the long and the short of it. So we got to do something about that. Okay. To end, just lastly, I want to talk about this deal with Beckwith. So over the weekend, I got a copy of the Abdul-Hakim Shabazz cheat sheet. And in the cheat sheet, it said that basically there was a little blurb. It was just kind of in the middle of nowhere. It was a real little strange blurb about Beckwith having some problems with ethics issues and some of his staff having problems with ethics issues. It was a really strange little blurb. Okay. And I talked about this yesterday. And basically, the part that really was interesting to me was the part that said, even to the point that Beckwith won't use state police to provide security because he doesn't trust them. So who's providing security? Members of his church, of course. Now, that was written by Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. And I was like, wait a minute. This is nuts if this is true. So I made a post and I tagged Abdul. I have tagged several different people that would be in the know to know, one of them being Micah. And I said, is this true? There's no way this can be true. Can we get a rundown on this? In Attorney Abdul's Mother's Day cheat sheet that dropped yesterday, the following can be found. And then I read that Micah won't use state police, And I was like, this can't be real. Can we get some more information on this? So this heavenly security detail, we'll call them the H team. This must be, if this is true, who Beckwith was talking about when he said, we need a car that can be big enough for the guys on my team. We got some really big guys that go with us. I've got to have something that's good for 3 or 4 big guys. That's the end of the quote. So let's just say for a second that this is for true and for real. Okay, to me, it raises some serious questions. Who are these guys? What level of training do they have? Are they carrying weapons? What authority do they have? How frequently do they train and qualify with those weapons? How much are they getting paid? By who? Why? And why would the Indiana State Police not be good enough for Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith? What in the actual hell could be going on in this clown show? And then I put up the 2, quotes that I quoted and post that out. Well, then last night on Mother's Day, while I was preoccupied and busy, Beckwith tried calling me. Beckwith and I talk not frequently, but I've had him on the show, and I have his private number, and we text if there are issues or whatever. And he tried calling me, and I was like, look, I'm tied up. Can we get together? And he said, yeah. So we spoke this morning on the phone, and Beckwith told me on the phone today that this is not true in any way. First, it's not true. And he does not have a problem with the state police. He said if the state police were going to be his security detail, he would have no problem with that. He said, for our security, for our church events, for events that have nothing to do with the lieutenant governor, for church, because of the way the world is, they do have a security team inside his church. But the only time they do anything is during church events. They do not and have not had a position on his staff as lieutenant governor. They don't accompany him anywhere, and they don't, the 2 things don't cross over. This is Micah Beckwith's words. He goes on and he says, the lieutenant governor doesn't have a security detail. There's no security detail for lieutenant governor. And that shocked me. He said, if I had a security detail and it was the state police, I would have no problem with that. But we don't have an event. He said, if I go someplace where it's going to be dicey, we always have to coordinate with local police. We coordinate with the local police and we let them handle it. He was like, now, if I go someplace with the governor and the governor's there, the governor has a security detail that's made up of a special detail from the state police. They're called the state capitol police, but they are state police. And that they would be around. But that he said, Beckwith said, I do not have a security detail. He said, now I do have a man that works for me on my staff that was a former FBI agent. And when we need to coordinate with the police, he's the one that does it. And sometimes he'll act in a capacity where, he's he didn't say bodyguard. He just kind of left it at that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And I said, I'm kind of shocked to find out that, there's not some kind of, look, the lieutenant governor does not need 24-hour security detail, but it's kind of shocking to me that there's not a state trooper. Like if I found out that there was a state trooper that would be assigned to the lieutenant governor and would drive him around or would go places, that would not shock me. I wouldn't be bothered by that. That makes sense. But he said, this is not true. And I said, okay, well, I said, you understand the reason I'm concerned about this, Micah? And he said, yeah, I understand. And I told him again, I said, well, I just wanted to know, who these people were, what they're being paid, what their role is, he's like, yeah, that's not happening. So this is now one of those situations. Abdul said it, there are times that I run on something that someone tells me. Now we do our very best to ferret things out, even when a source tells me something, even when a trusted source tells me something. But that's that. So I'm going to get with Abdul and find out like what the deal is with this, because this is something like where there's not even a confusion here. It's one was, it's either right or wrong. And so something's up here, and I got to try to figure out why, but that's what Beckwith said. So that answers that. I told Beckwith that I would clear that air there and say that. I mean, there's still a lot of questions for Beckwith. It's weird. He's got a lot of things, but that was cleared up there. I'm also going to post that on social media so people can see it that read my post. The last thing that I want to say, something is going on with Beckwith and the city of Muncie / Delaware County. Beckwith has scheduled or is scheduled or is attending to schedule or has tried scheduling a town hall in Muncie / Delaware County. And it's funny, he wanted this town hall for the end of this month, sometime next week or the week following. Now, there was a post that was put up on social media on the Delaware County Republican Facebook page that I actually did not see, and I did not get a copy of it. A friend of mine did, and he called me and said, hey, have you seen this? And I said, no. And he said, well, I'll send it to you. He's like, I'll send it to you tonight, or I'll send it to you tomorrow. I have not got this yet, so I've not seen it. But he was like, it's just really strange because they put this picture up. The picture was up, and it basically said, mark your calendars. Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith will be hosting a town hall in Delaware County. And then it was like a little graphic. And it listed May 21st, 6 p.m. That's a week from this Wednesday. And the crazy part about it is it was listed as being at the Delaware County Justice Center. And they pulled that down. So I text Beckwith tonight after I heard this. And I asked Beckwith if he was coming to a Muncie, Delaware County for a town hall. And he said yes. I said, when and where? And I said, do you have graphics? And he said, nailing down the details. I'll keep you posted. Talked with one of the commissioners today. I said, okay, cool. Well, after I made that post, I got an anonymous text message sent to me from a number from Indianapolis. that told me that Mr. Beckwith had wanted to hold a town hall in the Muncie City auditorium, and that Beckwith was denied to have it in the auditorium. And the reason they denied Beckwith having it in the auditorium, and we've come full circle, was because Beckwith doesn't have his own security detail. Beckwith wanted the City of Muncie Police Department to do all of the security. Now, I'm going to issue a record request to the City of Muncie to kind of find out what the deal is with this. I would say that after the last deal with Sparts, they're not too eager to get into that again. And listen, there's going to be a lot of people protesting him. So I'm sure they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it's interesting that he now reached out to the Delaware County Government Center, and they've posted this. But then as soon as they posted it, they then took it down. So I'm also going to reach out to the Delaware County commissioners and find out what the deal is here. My question is, are our state and local government not playing nicey-nicey with one another? Really strange to me. Really strange. So I just find it odd. And so I'm going to call Beckwith. I text him back and said, hey, we need to have another talk tomorrow. So Muncie said no. The city of Muncie said no. So who the hell knows what's going on here? To answer Tweety Bird's name, what is the FBI agent's job title? I do not know. And I will find that out tomorrow when I talk to Beckwith. So I will get that information for you. We'll have that tomorrow. Jackie Fisher asks a very good question. So if the big guys are not security, then who are these big guys that ride with Beckwith in his state deluxe vehicle on his government assignments? And I will ask Beckwith that question tomorrow as a follow-up, as I'm also asking him about this Muncie thing. This deal with Beckwith and Muncie and Delaware County is nuts, because I can only assume the reason that the post went up and then came down so quickly was because Delaware County said no. Delaware County said, hold on a second. Well, low. Hold on here just 1 second. Okay. So, let me ask you. So someone just texted me, or not texted me, emailed me. And the only way that could happen is if they're watching the show. Let me ask you this. Is it okay that I read this on, I won't show it. Is it okay that I read this email live? Can I read this email? If you can send me an email back and let me know if I can read this. Breaking news, everyone. Breaking news as it pertains to what we were just talking about. It helps to be... Listen. Kendall and Casey might have 105 million thousand listeners or whatever. But we're the biggest show going because we tell you the truth. We give it to you straight. And there's no bullshit here. It is what it is. We don't burn our sources, and it is what it is. You guys are the best audience there is, and we're growing each and every day. With your help, we could grow more if you'd share the show with everyone you know, help spread the word, and smash that like button if you haven't already. Wow. Oh, stand by. We're getting there's a little bit of delay from what I'm saying to when you hear it to when I get it. Okay, yes, I can read this. Okay. So while we were just talking about the Beckwith situation, let's just recap here really quickly. Beckwith reached out to the city of Muncie and wanted to have a town hall. Beckwith was told no, that he could not have a town hall at the city of Muncie. And the reason, see, Kate's making a big face because she was on the phone or something and she didn't hear this the first time. Wait till you hear because I'm not going to go over, I'll go over it all again at the end and once we get off here and tell you the shit. But for those of you that do know what I'm talking about. So that happened because of the fact that there is no security. Okay. I guess that's the reason they said, they didn't want to, I'm going to have to issue a records request to find out, to maybe see if there was communications or whatever, and to find out how much. That'd be interesting to know how much that cost the city of Muncie. I think there were state police there as well. That's really strange. Anyways, we'll find that out. All right. So Beckwith was told no. Then a posting was made, and we won't have this. Oh. Stand by. Hold on. Okay. Now, the question again, before I share this, you said I can share the email. Can I share the picture? Can you shoot? I mean, I would assume I can, but can I share the picture? To the gentleman or woman that is emailing me, you said I can share the email. Can I share the picture? Okay. Kate, I'm going to share. Can I share something to you? And can you put it up in the overlays? Let me share this to Kate here. And then while she's putting that in the overlays, I'll read the email. Oops. There you go, Kate. Okay, so while she's putting that up, the email that I just got, well, Yeah, okay, I can tell you. So Beckwith at some point asked the city, City of Muncie, and I don't know, I guess Dan Ridenauer, I don't know who would have said it. I'll have to find this out. Told Beckwith no. So then, I guess some point yesterday, today, I don't know when this was put up, unless they tell me. If you're out there and you're emailing, tell me. This was put up afterwards that says the all of a sudden a notice went up and on the Delaware County Republican Facebook page, and the notice that went up looked like this. Delaware County Republican Party mark your calendars. Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith will be hosting a town hall in Delaware County. Please join us for a Delaware County town hall with Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith, a dedicated advocate for Hoosiers, invites you to a community town hall in Delaware County. This is an opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue about the future of our state and share your thoughts on key issues. Don't miss this chance to have your voice heard and connect with your Lieutenant Governor. May 21st at 6 p.m., Delaware County Justice Center, 3100 South, 3100 South Tillotson Avenue, Suite 150, Muncie, Indiana, 47302. That went up. But the reason it went down then so quickly thereafter was because they didn't get permission to have the event there. And that the president of the commissioners, which is the email I just got, Shannon Henry, told them no too. So Micah Beckwith, the lieutenant governor of the state of Indiana, has been told no. He cannot have a town hall at the city of Muncie. And it was just the Republican Party sharing it. It would have been, it was open to everybody. It's a town hall. It was just the Republican Party sharing it. It wasn't their event. But furthermore, that's the point is the Republican lieutenant governor has been told no, he cannot hold a town hall at the City of Muncie Auditorium by a Republican mayor. And he has been told no, he cannot have a town hall at the Delaware County Justice Center and while I think that's wild, I'm going to say that I actually agree with Dan and I actually agree with Shannon, because why should we have to foot the bill for all of the security? The lieutenant governor's office should have to foot that bill. So I'll get to the bottom of this. I'm going to talk to this person that's emailing me. This is a crazy deal. I cannot believe. I mean, this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts that this is happening. If you know any more gentleman or gentlewoman out there that's emailing me, please continue emailing me. I will email you back as soon as we get off the show, and I'll let you know. I appreciate that. Yeah, very good possibility, Alva. This is a wild situation, ladies and gentlemen, and there will obviously be more to this, so we'll keep you all posted. All right. thank you all very, very, very much for tuning in and listening to the show this evening. We will have another amazing show tomorrow. You guys have been very good, participated in the chat. I love that. I love when you guys are fired up. And why secure? Correct. Why security at all? Because of the people that will be there protesting. I mean, look back at the thing that happened in Muncie with the Representative Sparks. I mean, you have to have security there to keep the crazies at bay. So crazy shit, ladies and gentlemen. I'll keep you posted. We'll have more tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. to the Rob, Kendall, and Casey Daniels show, Kendall and Casey show on 93.1 WIBC. Tune in tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, 12 hours from tomorrow, 9 a.m. at 9 p.m. tomorrow, as we will be on episode 449, and we will follow up to what's happening with this, follow up what's happening on the radio, and everything else that happens. You guys have been wonderful. Have a great day tomorrow. Take care. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you all again tomorrow. Goodbye.